This is the Jeff Oravits Show.
All right, folks, let's welcome back. He's chiming in from D.C. today, Congressman Eli Crane, and watching really another crazy night with all these protests that are going on, Eli. Insanity on our campuses.
Yeah, it really is, Jeff. I'm not that surprised, unfortunately. I think many of our universities are cesspools for a lot of this radical ideology and have been for decades, quite honestly. I mean, it is very sad to see, and I know that a lot of it's fueled by hatred and ignorance. So, it's pretty awful.
It is, and the really ridiculous part of this, if you think about it, is there's a lot of people paying an enormous amount of money to go to these universities. Then there's a lot of people going to these universities and they're getting their debt forgiven by the magic wand of Biden. So really, we're paying for this, Eli. We're paying for these people to do this crazy stuff. And it's spreading to universities even in your district. ASU, U of A, and now NAU. I was talking to a police officer earlier today, said several people arrested at NAU setting up an encampment.
Yeah, no, this is national. This is a national problem. I find it embarrassing, quite frankly. I mean, I'm all for free speech, but it's just embarrassing that so many of our young kids grow up thinking that this type of behavior is okay. It's okay to hate other people because of their beliefs or their religion. And it's awful.
Do you think that the universities are waking up and not in the woke way that we're used to? We see them cracking down. I mean, it's all fun and games until someone gets a pallet thrown at them. I don't know if you saw that in California. Are they starting to take action, or is this just because I think the American people are frustrated and fed up with this, and this isn't like you and I probably disagreed with the Black Lives Matter stuff that was going on. I know I did, and I think you did too. This isn't that. They don't have that kind of support out there for this stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think some universities are starting to wake up a little bit. I listen to Dan Bongino sometimes on the radio, and, he talks about the country and says, I guess we just haven't felt enough pain yet. And that's one of the things that you see happen all the time in life when your poor decisions cause you enough pain. Oftentimes it causes you to wise up. And that's what I'm really hoping that we're going to see here. I know it's not just on campuses, but we have professors and leaders in academia come up to the Hill all the time and talk to us about this issue. And, it's definitely something that, Congress is going to continue to look at and work on. But quite frankly, we have the same issues up here, Jeff. I'm never surprised at, how many anti-Semitic members of Congress that we have up here.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And this is stuff that you could have imagined happening just a few short years ago. What's your bill, the defund hate-filled institution? I mean, what is this bill that you've introduced?
Yeah, it's no taxpayer funding for Ivy League schools. Basically a lot of these schools, Jeff, have huge endowments. This bill would cover schools that have endowments of $5 billion or more. So it's not just Ivy League schools. I think there's 17 or 18 other schools in addition to all the Ivy League schools. But basically, we don't want the taxpayers to have to pay, billions of their hard-earned tax dollars to go to these schools that continue to promote these radical ideologies that we're seeing on the nightly news every single night.
Okay, and how much, I mean, they're getting funded. Why are they getting funded this much? I mean, when you look at an institution like Harvard, and was that the one that had the president that went before Congress and couldn't answer, if it's what the kids were yelling was genocide or hate, or am I remembering this right? Because so many things happen all the time over the months. Was that the Harvard president?
It was the Harvard president, Jeff. And I mean, to answer your question, why are we giving money to a lot of the places we're giving money to? Why are we sending money overseas to, millions and millions of dollars for other countries' border defense, but we won't take care of our own border and secure our own border? I mean, this is how out of control this place is constantly. And then if you come up here and you try and do something about it, and you don't get on the team, as they like to say, they try and get rid of you. And so this is why it's so important that we continue to send people up here that have a little bit of backbone and are willing to, fight and try and pump the brakes on the fiscal irresponsibility that takes place on a daily basis in Washington.
No, I'll give you that, Eli. You have the backbone and a few of your colleagues, and you've become the target of people that don't like what you're doing. And we're seeing that here in our state. We need more people to stand up. It's very frustrating. The speaker situation, you want to chime in on that real quick? Because we had the Ukraine money, $65 billion more going over there. I know you voted against that. There's a threat for the speaker to be taken out again, but Democrats have signaled they're going to keep him on. That's a sign to me, Eli. That's a sign if all the Democrats are like, we'll support you, don't worry.
Yeah, it's a huge sign. And, Jeff, I think I was one of 14 people that didn't vote for that, the entirety of the foreign aid package. We could get into it. There were many elements involved in it, but basically it was the Senate foreign aid bill repackaged, and some gimmicks were thrown in there. But at the end of the day, many of us, like many Americans, have problems with, not taking care of our own citizens, not taking care of our own security, and sending, quite frankly, close to $100 billion overseas that we don't even have, Jeff, because remember, we're $35 trillion in debt. And so, again, that's the fiscal irresponsibility. And many of us tried to, talk to the speaker, convince him every single way we possibly could that this was a bad idea. But unfortunately, the speaker continues to listen to the wrong members of Congress and the wrong staffers, quite frankly, and continues on this path. And so, yes, he has put himself in jeopardy. There are a couple members of Congress that, have sponsored and co-sponsored a motion to vacate. We're hearing today that motion will be called up next week.
Oh,
and so
okay.
I think it's going to put the speaker in a very tight spot. But like you said, Hakeem Jeffries put out yesterday that the Democrats will save him. And so, but I mean, that if you want any scorecard or report card on how well you're doing as the Republican Speaker of the House, the American people see that the Democrats like what you're doing so much, they're going to save you. That's not a good place to be, Jeff.
Yeah, that says it all to me. So, okay, part of the Ukraine issue was we didn't get anything for border security here. We've spent the past couple of years talking about the lack of border security in our country. You got a couple of things you want to try to do, which is restrict chain migration. For those that don't know what that is, if I can get that out, explain what's been going on with chain migration.
Yeah, so thank you, Jeff. We have a Nuclear Family Priority Act, and that's what this bill targets is, outside of your nuclear family, if you come here, if you immigrate here legally, you're not allowed to bring, 100 different members of your family, your second cousin and the person she's married to. This would restrict the people that can come in to those folks that come here legally and go through the legal process to just their nuclear family. So that's one of the big drivers of, that we're seeing right now as far as, overpopulating and a bunch of folks coming here that, probably shouldn't be here in the first place. But that's what this bill's all about. It's all about cutting back on chain migration.
Does anyone want to, and I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen this, restrict migration to where we want to, what we need as far as a country? Like we need more nurses, we need more, you name it, and actually have it based on what our country needs. I mean, we're a gracious country as far as taking people in, but we also seem to be taken advantage of. Has there been any talk of that?
Yeah, there has been, Jeff. I've been pretty sure I heard the former President Donald Trump talking about this years ago. Unfortunately, we had a saying in the military: you gotta crawl before you can walk, and before you can. After that, if you can walk and you want to run, you got to take these things in steps. And so, right now we have a wide open southern border, as you know. We have a party that welcomes this, that is a champion for this. And so we're taking, one step at a time. I would like to see more of a merit-based system myself where, you have to prove that you're going to come here and, be a productive member of society. But like I said, before we run. We got to be able to crawl and then walk. So that's what this bill's all about. And then one of the other border security bills that we have right now, Jeff, is the Subterranean Border Act, and that
Okay.
just basically makes Homeland Security start actually reporting to Congress, what's going on with the borders underneath our southern border. There's 140 that we've been briefed on. Many of these are very intricate, have quite a bit of infrastructure down there, like something you might see in Gaza, with train, rail car tracks and everything, lighting, etc. And this is obviously a massive problem that doesn't get reported on a lot, Jeff, just because of the situation at our border, how overwhelmed our agents are at the ports, in between the ports of entry. You got gotaways, fentanyl, record numbers of people coming in, and it's easy to lose track of the fact that we have hundreds, of tunnels underneath our southern border that can be used to transport not only narcotics but weapons of mass destruction, and even individuals on the terror watch list into this country. And so this is a massive problem. Homeland Security needs to do a better job of actually reporting to Congress on what they're doing to stop this, and how they're using the resources that we give them on an annual basis to stop it. And so obviously oversight's a big part of what we do, Jeff, and we can't really conduct oversight if we're not getting reporting.
Yeah, but again, why didn't we get that with the Ukraine deal? Why didn't we get that stuff in there?
Because there's almost this sick perversion up here, of sending money over to Ukraine. It's hard to even fathom or calculate what the focus on Ukraine is, but it's a very real thing, as you guys have seen over the last couple of years. Though we are seeing a growth in the resistance movement to stop sending money over to Ukraine, and to make welcoming peace talks the priority, because that's what many of us want to see. We know that Ukraine is not going to win this war. We know we can't afford it. We know we're escalating with the world's greatest nuclear power. And we also know that Ukraine is very corrupt, and I talk about it every time I come on your show. And so it's awful that this body continues to send hundreds of billions of dollars overseas when we're not taking care of our own citizen first.
Speaking of taking care of our own citizens, and this is a big one. It's our veterans. You're a veteran, and I appreciate your service. I thank everyone out there who's listening, and watching, who's served this great country. And something we can do, and I wish we had $65 billion to put towards our veterans, supporting rural veterans, supporting veterans in general. But you've got a bill specifically to support rural veterans, which is a big part of your district, rural areas.
Yeah, this is we've got a couple bills. The Pleasant Valley Veterans Retreat is a bill that just passed out of the House. We're hoping it gets signed into law. But this is something we're proud of, Jeff. It'll be the first one in northern Arizona. But basically, and this isn't going to cost the taxpayers of this district any federal money, because it's basically we transferred land from the Forest Service to Gila County, and they're taking care of all of the entire build, and they're making this a retreat to where veterans who have spent time overseas, can bring their families and, recreate a little bit. And then we also have another one called the Hire Veterans Act, and this is trying to streamline the bureaucracy, with the Forest Service and other government entities, so that veterans can come on board sooner and get hired. Because I'm sure your listeners and watchers know, Jeff, that there's the bureaucracy within the federal government is so much that oftentimes by the time a veteran applies to work for one of these departments like the Forest Service, until the time they get hired, it can be up to a year. And oftentimes, they go find another job because it's taken them so long. And so these are a couple things that, a couple pieces of legislation we're working on for vets. And I just got out of a Veteran Affairs hearing, Jeff, maybe an hour ago, where we're trying to stop the Democrats from, making sure that every veteran who has a fiduciary helping them with their finances gets reported to the FBI, and I think it's the NICS list, so that they can't buy firearms in the future. It's unbelievable.
It is.
feels like we play whack-a-mole up here. Every 5 seconds, we're trying to stop our Democrat colleagues from, taking away one more freedom, from, American citizens, and in this case, unfortunately, veterans. But this is what we deal with all day, every day up here.
They're always advancing. We're trying to just knock them back a little bit, but they always seem to be getting those couple steps ahead. All right, Congressman, I appreciate your support on these issues. I appreciate you sticking firm on the funding issues overseas, and we'll talk with you again, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. Who knows what we'll be dealing with then. We'll talk with you soon, okay?
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Congressman. Take care. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you to everyone listening on the podcast as well. Do me a favor right now. Please subscribe. I appreciate everybody that's doing it. Subscribe, and share with your friends. If you've already done that, leave a comment. That helps us out a lot, and we'll see you back here real soon.